Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Binghamton City Council Business Meeting for Wednesday, April 20th, 2022. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag,
United States of America,
to the republic,
that stands one nation, under God,
indivisible, liberty,
indivisible,
and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Mr. Clerk, could you do a roll call for us, please?
Yes, I believe Councilman Scaringi is absent. And I believe Councilwoman Bresnetti is also absent. She's with her family for Orthodox Holy Week. And Councilwoman Riley is absent, but I believe she's on her way. Councilwoman Friedman.
Present.
Councilman Burns.
Present.
Councilman Scanlon.
Present.
And President Strawn.
Present.
Okay, that's 3 absent: Scaringi, Bresnetti, and Riley.
Okay, thank you. Now we will ask for the approval minutes from the April 6th, 2020 business meeting. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for approval of the minutes from the April 6th, 2022 business meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will move on to our public comment. Mr. Clerk, will you tell people how they can participate in public comment?
Yes, residents wishing to participate in public comment may do so by clicking the raised hand button via Zoom and leaving it raised. And we will allow you to speak one by one. You'll have 5 minutes, and please state your full name and if you live or work in the city of Binghamton. Okay, our first speaker, difficult to see what that says. I think it says National Teaching Assistants.
This is Tarkadelism. I guess it's carrying over on my phone.
Okay, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Last week I issued a media statement following the Honorable Judge Seth Peacock's ruling to grant my motion to dismiss the harassment charge that was brought against me by the Office of Broome County District Attorney Michael Korchak based on a complaint made by City Council member Sophia Rezzanetti on August 5th. So I'd like to read that statement so it is in the record and it will be the last I say of it. When I learned last August that the Broome County District Attorney's Office, not the Binghamton Police Department, issued a warrant for my arrest and charged me with harassment based on allegations made by Councilwoman Sophia Rezzanetti, I was shocked and troubled. I said at the time that the charge was legally without merit. Last week, the courts agreed and granted my motion to dismiss. The judge's strong ruling makes clear the charge failed miserably to meet any of the 3 minimum criteria for harassment. It is disappointing that the Broome County District Attorney's Office wasted public tax dollars on this complaint. I hope an internal review results in disciplinary actions for those staff members who led the investigation and irresponsibly authorized the arrest warrant. I also said at the time that Rezzanetti's complaint was factually inaccurate. On advice of my counsel at the time, I was being polite. Taken directly from her supporting deposition, this is the only statement Rezzanetti made about my conduct at a July 26, 2021 public meeting of Binghamton City Council, which purportedly was the basis of my arrest. She wrote, quote, on 7/26/2021, City Council held a special meeting. During the meeting, Tarkadelism was pointing and yelling at me saying, do you want us over to your house again? And we will be back, you effing B. I will not utter those words. I found those statements threatening, she finished. First, I have never been near or at Sophia's house for any reason at any time. Second, I never pointed and yelled in a threatening manner to come to her house. Finally, I never said, we'll be back, you effing B. As I said at the August 4th meeting, I believe that word is a disgusting, harmful word that has roots in sexism and misogyny. And folks who know my character know I would never speak to a woman like that. It's a word that I've removed from my vocabulary. It is almost surreal how Sophia Resnitti replaced the truth with such a bizarre false narrative. In my statement, I included a link to a video clip of what actually transpired as council voted on the one piece of resolution and then immediately adjourned the meeting. You can see me on a green shirt on the left of the screen, and I'm standing up when the voting concludes, saying, clear as day, we'll be back, we'll be back. No threats, no yelling, and absolutely no reference to her house. It is obvious to any viewer that I and others meant we as engaged citizens would be back to the next public meeting to continue advocating that pandemic recovery dollars were going to help those most in need. And for this, I was arrested. It is troubling that an elected official would fabricate a complaint and then leverage personal and political relationships within the district attorney's office to have an engaged citizen arrested. That behavior is a betrayal of the public trust and a threat to local democracy and the US Constitution. Sophia Resnitti, from these actions, has shown herself to be unfit for public office. For this reason, I call on her to resign immediately from Binghamton City Council. I would love to hear from the other council members during your comments later today, whether you believe and support criminalizing citizen engagement. Thank you. I do want to also comment. Last time I asked folks to comment at the end, I want to give a shout out. I know Phil Strawn and Angela Riley spoke about my request to please speak about whether or not you support ethics reform and financial disclosure form. I appreciate you doing that, and I hope you all can address the same question tonight.
Thank you. If anyone else wishes to speak, please click the raised hand button and leave it raised. We will allow you to speak one by one. You'll have 5 minutes. And please state your full name and if you live or work in the city of Binghamton. At this time, we have no other hands raised. Oh, a hand just went up. Okay, we have Tina Chronopoulos. You have 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm starting the timer. Good evening. My name is Tina Chronopoulos. I live on Laurel Avenue in Sophia Resnitti's district. I guess just as usual, a bunch of things. My apologies for not being at your last meeting, or rather I was here, but I had so many things to say that the one big concern that I wanted to raise fell by the wayside, which is this. It is, I believe, City Council's fiduciary duty to spend money ethically and effectively, particularly since the money that you're spending is taxpayer money. And you might recall that the city of Binghamton was awarded money from the federal government, usually referred to as ARPA money, so much money to be potentially transformative. And the reason the amount was so high is because Binghamton is one of the poorest cities in this state. And it is galling, I have to say, it is galling to watch you fritter it away. And a different term, and I'm being polite here, is that it's galling to watch you urinate that wall, that money up the wall. It is galling to see you rushing to spend ARPA money to buy cars for police officers. It is galling to see you spend money left, right, and center for things that the money clearly wasn't meant to be spent on. And then to have people like my council representative grandstand on her Facebook page, where she basically no longer seems to be representing city council, but is instead just running a campaign, grandstanding about how elected officials are supposed to serve the people and to not be out of touch. I cannot emphasize this stronger than to say that people like Sophia Resnitti and some of you are definitely not serving the people, and you are definitely out of touch when you are spending that ARPA money the way that you are. Binghamton is poor. People in the city need affordable housing. And I'm not talking about housing that costs $1,000 a month. That is not affordable housing. People in the city need meaningful social services. City council could use money in this way to make these kinds of things available to the most marginalized and to the poorest in this community. And then we have my council representative who has nothing better to do than to grandstand and talk about fiduciary duty and serving the people. It is just absolutely appalling. May I also point out that we have a police department in the city that was able to supply armor to an army in Ukraine, right? So think about this. The Binghamton Police Department has so much armor that it can supply 140 bulletproof vests to an army. That's what we are talking about when we say that police are militarized. And remember, police do not actually prevent murders. They do not prevent shootings. They do not prevent burglaries. Police usually turn up when the thing has already happened and secure the crime scene. So it is just really galling to see how you go about allocating money to services and projects that are not actually serving the people. And one other thing that I wanted to say, and I'm disappointed that folks
You
aren't
have 1
really
minute
talking
left.
about it. Thank you for the reminder. Is the sewage plant, right? Contaminant levels at the sewage plant are in violation of permits. We have a state-of-the-art facility that, under the watch of the previous mayor, was being renovated to the tune of $300 million. Taxpayer money. Do you know what that means? Maybe some of you won't be affected by this, but $300 million, that is a lot of money. That is a shit ton of money. And to have something go wrong at the plant now, and to have the board that is peopled by political appointments drag its heels rather than jump to the rescue, adding yet more money to the pot, is also equally galling. So I'm just frustrated with how some of you view or interpret the phrase of serving the people and not being out of touch, because I ain't seeing it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If anyone else would like to speak, please click the raised hand button via Zoom and leave it raised, and we will allow you to speak for 5 minutes.
Mr. Clerk, did we receive anything in the mail today?
We did not.
Email. While we wait for just another second, if anybody is watching, I will announce from your right to left on the screen who we have down here at City Hall. We have Councilwoman Angela Riley, District 3, Councilwoman Aviva Friedman, District 4. We have our clerk, Lee Rogers, Phil Strawn. We have two representatives, our corporate clerk, corporate counsel's office, Mr. Seacrest and Ms. Methazine, and we have Councilman Joe Burns. So just wanted to make that clear for if anybody's watching, just so you can know who's down here.
Also, for the purposes of the minutes, Councilwoman Riley arrived at 6:06, and she is in attendance.
Okay, we will end our public comment time. Thank you for the speakers we had this evening. We will move on to our legislative agenda and our preferred agenda. Would anybody like anything pulled from the preferred agenda before we proceed? Okay, we will proceed to the preferred agenda. Mr. Clerk, can you start walking us through that, please?
Okay, the first item on tonight's preferred agenda is introductory ordinance 22-71, considered in Public Works and Parks. This is an ordinance to amend the 2022 fee schedule to remove safety town fees.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-71? Okay, please proceed.
Okay, our next item on the preferred agenda is introductory ordinance 22-72, considered in the Public Works and Parks Committee. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 fee schedule to add summer league basketball and water volleyball.
Okay, any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-72? Okay, please proceed.
Okay, next we have introductory ordinance 22-73, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 DPW budget for purchase of pavement profiling software.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-73? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-74, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 fire budget to hire 8 new firefighters.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-74? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-75, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 fire budget to increase supplemental disability.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-75? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-76, considered in the Public Works and Parks Committee. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 fee schedule for park bench and tree donations.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-76? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-77, considered in planning. And this is an ordinance to amend permanent ordinance 20-39 regarding the sale of a portion of Elizabeth Street and for the sale of 168 Oak Street to Front Street Residences LLC.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-77? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-78, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 budget to allocate ARPA funds for a stormwater management subsurface drainage project at Ross Park.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-78? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-32, considered in the Public Works and Parks Committee. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Binghamton Youth Sports Association to operate concession stands at youth sporting events.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-32? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-33, considered in the Public Works and Parks Committee. And this is a resolution to adopt the Binghamton Metropolitan Transportation Study proposed multi-use trail regulation guidelines.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-33? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-34, considered in the Planning Committee. And this is a resolution to correct the 2022 tax rolls for 62 the Circuit Street.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-34? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-35, considered in finance. And this is a resolution authorizing the city of Binghamton to accept a donation from the Jane Johnson Wasson Trust for the Ross Park Carousel renovation.
Questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-35? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-36, considered in finance. And this is a resolution amending permanent resolution 21-90 to increase the local match amount.
Okay, any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-36? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-37 considered in the Public Works and Parks Committee. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Environmental Design and Research, DPC, for the Ross Park Carousel Restoration and Relocation Project.
Okay, any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-37? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-38 considered in finance. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into supplemental amendment number 3 with Barton and LaJudas DPC for any additional review, engineering, testing, and management at Rec Park.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-38? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-39 considered in finance. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for the First Ward inflow and infiltration study.
Questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-39?
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-40 considered in finance, and this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Barton and LaJudas DPC for the First Ward inflow and infiltration study.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-40? Okay. Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-41 considered in finance, and this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Atlantic Testing Laboratories Limited for an asbestos project monitoring agreement.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-41? Okay, please proceed.
And the last item on the preferred agenda is introductory resolution 22-42 considered in finance. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with J.S. Miller Appraisal Associates LLC for the appraisal of 12 commercial properties.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 22-42? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the preferred agenda as read.
So moved.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Can we have a roll call, Mr. Clark?
Councilman Scaringi is absent. Councilwoman Rosnetti is absent. Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Strong.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, 2 absent, Rosnetti and Scaringi.
Okay, thank you. Now to our non-preferred agenda. We have introductory ordinance 22-70, considering planning, and I believe we have seeker motions with this as well. Councilman Scanlon.
Introductory ordinance 22-70, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 19 Franklin Street to Elwin W. Warner. I'll read the seeker now. Motion to declare city council as lead agency under seeker.
Second.
I'm sorry, we're all set?
That needs an all in favor.
I apologize. I was speaking with corporate counsel for a second. All in favor on that?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to identify the proposed action as unlisted under seeker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker for the following reason. This is a vacant lot in a residential area. The purchaser owns the adjoining lot at 17 Franklin Street. The proposed use is green space. The transfer will preserve green space and provide the future maintenance. This transfer is made as part of the city's side lot program.
Second.
Okay, we need a roll call vote on the C motion. Mr. Clerk?
Okay, so this is a full roll call. Councilman Scringy is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti is absent. Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
And President Strong.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, 2 absent, Scarinci and Resnetti.
We got to vote on the legislation, so, yeah. Okay, Councilman Scanlon, could you read the actual legislation again so we can vote on the introductory ordinance 2270?
Sure. Introductory ordinance 22-70, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 19 Franklin Street to Elwin W. Warner.
Second.
Any discussion? We have a call to question?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Okay, Councilman Scarinci is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti is absent. Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
President Strong.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, 2 absent, Scarinci and Resnetti.
Okay, before we go to our comments, our corporate counsel, Mr. Seacrest, would like to make a comment to us or speak into the record on introductory ordinance 2277.
Yes, 2277 is a sale of property. We just did a sale of property for Franklin Street and headed to Seeker. I believe that the reason why the sale of Elizabeth Street was not included in that section of the agenda was because we previously, or you previously approved selling this portion of the street. This is redoing it. However, given the passage of time, it would not be inappropriate for you to redo Seeker. What I would say is that you would do almost exactly what you did for Franklin Street. You'd be declaring yourself lead agency. You'd be declaring an unlisted action. And under the motion under C, the reason you say for all the reasons we stated before, there's really been no material change in that neighborhood justifying any other changing or termination. But I think it would be appropriate and protect your decision tonight to authorize the sale by doing that secret analysis. So I guess what I would ask if someone would make the motion to declare the city council as lead agency under seeker for the sale of Elizabeth Street and a portion of Oak Street under introductory ordinance 2277.
Mr. President, I can do that.
I don't think you have to go back. Technically, you should do it before you do the approval. I believe doing it this close in time will be sufficient.
Okay, are you comfortable with that, Councilman Scanlon?
So I didn't exactly catch what Brian said. I should just read a seeker for this property, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically we're going to replace Franklin
Yep,
Street
okay.
with
got
the
it.
other two streets, and then just state with C that for the reasons that were previously approved.
And that there's been no
Okay.
substantial change.
No
in the neighborhood.
substantial changes.
Okay, let's see if I can get through this then. Introductory ordinance 2277, ordinance to amend permanent ordinance 20-039 regarding the sale of a portion of Elizabeth Street or for the sale of 168 Oak Street to Front Street Residence LLC. I'll read the seeker now. Motion to declare city council lead agency under seeker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Motion
Okay, go ahead.
to identify proposed action is unlisted under seeker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Brian, what's my next comment here?
You already approved a seeker negative determination in under 2
Okay.
years ago when you approved the sale. And you basically
Yep.
be saying that there's been no material changes in the neighborhood that would warrant changing the finding you made initially.
Okay, I'm going to state that there's no additional findings from when we approved this 2 years ago.
And therefore you would make a motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker.
Therefore, I'll make the motion to make a negative declaration.
We have a second for that? Okay. Any questions or comments on that seeker motion? Okay, can we have a roll call vote, Mr. Clerk?
Councilman Scaringi and Councilwoman Resnetti are both absent. Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
President Strawn.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5 ayes, 2 absent, Scaringi and Resnetti.
Okay, thank you everyone for patience walking through this and our corporate counsel for walking us through that. We appreciate that. Okay, we will move on to communication from council members. And we will start with District 3 and Councilwoman Riley.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that, Council President. First, I would like to again recognize that we are in the midst of the lottery series in terms of our weather. And a shout out to DPW for all that they did for the neighborhood with the DPW and Parks and Recs, because they had their own Park and Rec trucks coming around cleaning and helping with some of the trees. And I know we received a lot of calls, and those of us that are still receiving calls, please make sure you tell the neighbors and those of you that may be watching, the city is only picking up trees that are city property. Trees that have fallen in your own property are your responsibility. And so I received a few complaints about that today, but I think we need to emphasize that fact so those trees will not remain out there and not be ready for the Monday pickup of branch and tree pickup. Secondly, I want to make sure Tom Scanlon hears this. Can you hear me clearly, Tom? Just kidding.
Sure I can, Angela, go ahead.
I had a very good meeting today with Chief Zakuski and Assistant Chief Ryan. It was very, very interesting, and I will share details with those that ask. But again, we have a lot of legislation coming from the police department, and a lot of it is based upon information that all of us are not privy to. So it helps to hear the inside story, and it makes a difference when we go to vote on legislation. So make sure you tweet that, Tom. I also want to finally wrap up and let everyone know there will be a job fair in the 3rd District, yay, on April 28th, hosted by the Broome Tioga Workforce. Again, this is posted on my Facebook page. And if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. As you all know, we are working diligently on our committee to address code issues. We've been getting emails and calls. You guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it coming, but this is a part-time job. We love it. And we are working through all the emails and calls, but keep them coming. Unfortunately, I may not be at the next meeting. Councilman Scaringi just sent that out, and it is in conflict with a training we're hosting in the city of Binghamton for women that are seeking to run for office. So I have information about that as well. And I think that's about it. Happy 420 for those of you that understand. And for those of you that don't, this is a time to recognize that the legislation has changed, and it's time for us to repeal some of those arrests and some of those prosecutions that were associated with minor offenses that have now been changed based upon the law. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to District 4 and Councilwoman Friedman.
Thank you, President Strawn. There are a few things that I wanted to comment on as is not uncommon. Councilwoman Riley took some of my subject matter that I was planning to address, such as our code discussions, which we've been made privy to a lot of creative solutions that other municipalities have implemented, and I think that it would behoove us to be a little daring and try something that might work, and we'll see. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and if it works, then maybe we can make a real substantial difference in the the lives of the residents of the city of Binghamton, and also in our code department, also in our park department. Hopefully these can be transformative solutions that actually reduce the amount of time and energy and money that we need to devote to fixing problems, and instead we can prevent them from existing in the first place. So there's a couple of things that I think it's worth bringing up that I think are due for a revisit. One of them is a town hall of sorts, or some other kind of intentional community solicitation of desires on how the community believes that the ARPA or the COVID relief money ought to be spent. We did host one of them, but one is not enough. And we did approve tonight a relatively large expenditure of ARPA funds that I do believe are necessary, but it's difficult to see the big picture without hearing from our constituents about what kind of large scale projects they want to see, and also what is the vision of how this money could be, again, transformative for the city of Binghamton. The other thing that is worth revisiting is our police reimagination and reinvention committee. To my knowledge, I don't know if that committee has met again since last April, which we were under the impression that would be an ongoing conversation that we are having among residents and the police department. And part of the reason why I think there is a divide between the police department and a lot of residents of the city is there's a lack of communication there. And there's also, a lack of, I guess, seeing where I don't want to say the other side, but seeing where other people are coming from, right? We see that, like one of the callers said, we have a lot of extra equipment, and it's frustrating that we keep pouring money into places that aren't always effective at reducing crime. The police do often respond to crime, but again, that's after it's already happened. And we are seeing a difference in how we respond to low level crimes and misdemeanors, such as the bail reform that we saw in Albany. That's a statewide issue, but not keeping people in jail just because before they have been convicted of a crime, just because they can't pay. Also with recreational marijuana being legalized in the state of New York, also we're seeing a change in how we approach issues that, in my opinion, are not necessarily community safety issues. So I do believe that it's worth revisiting that collaborative. And I did want to respond to one of the callers that, one of the reasons why we fought so hard to expand public comment to meetings where any meeting that we're considering legislation is because we love hearing from constituents. That's, that's my dream, that all of my constituents are as engaged as, the familiar faces that we see at meetings a lot, who are constantly giving their opinions and their points of view on things. So yeah, of course, we always welcome community engagement. So I think that's it. I try to keep my comments to 5 minutes, but I don't always check the clock when I start. So I will keep it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will now move to District 5 and Councilman Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I too am looking forward to our discussions about code. And I've been having meetings with some experts on the subject. And I do also like my colleagues' idea of looking at other municipalities and not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but let's find things that work and see if we can make them work for us. That aside, I'd like to thank everybody, the DPW, the mayor, Parks Department, every emergency worker out there that helped with the tree problem. On the south side, there's still problems. I know on Brookfield and Aldrich Street, there's still, you can't get through there. Hopefully by tomorrow afternoon, that'll be cleared up. And the garbage collection on the south side, we did get the recyclables done today. It was supposed to be collected yesterday morning, and of course, everybody was busy with the emergency. So we're hoping that tomorrow it would all be completed. But if you have your garbage out, you know, if you're afraid of the raccoons getting it like me, I brought mine in and I'll put it out tomorrow morning very early. Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to District 7 and Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I normally don't address the callers, but I'm going to tonight. Let's start with Mr. Devilson. Because the case was dismissed doesn't mean it didn't happen. By the way, it was witnessed by another council person. You threatened Mrs. Ratzinetti to come to her house and you swore at her. That's a fact. And it wasn't a Republican that heard it. It was a Democrat. That's all I'll say about that. Mrs. Chronopoulos, once again, you're uninformed. And when you're uninformed, you say things that aren't true. So the police vests, that was 5 different agencies that donated those 140 police vests. And there's a shelf life on those. When the officers are sweating those, the fibers break down and they're deemed not fit as far as New York State's concerned, so they're unusable. So that's why they're donated. So once again, if you're uninformed, which you are, it's happened before, you don't come across as saying the truth. So Councilwoman Riley, I'm very happy you went to see Chief Sikorsky. I would encourage you to do a ride along now because I think it would help your perspective on everything. Along with Councilman Friedman, I wish you'd do a ride along too and go see Chief Sikorsky because sometimes it's easy to not see the other side of it if you don't hear the other side. So, Mr. President, thank you very much. By the way, thank you for the Binghamton Police Department for working the intersections the past couple days to make sure the motorists are safe in those intersections where the lights are out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Scanlon. Just very briefly, first of all, today, I believe is our Mayor Cram's birthday, so I want to wish him a happy birthday. I know he's still pretty young, but another year gone. So wish Mayor Cram a happy birthday. And just to reiterate very briefly, I definitely thanks to the everybody that worked together yesterday. There's still a lot of work to be done. So if your tree, even if it is city property and it's not a danger, to be patient. I'm sure Parks and DPW will get there. I did notice tonight a line down as you exit 434 at State Street Bridge going toward Tremont. There is a line down on the streetlights there onto the sidewalk. So I did pass that along to the mayor's office. I'm not sure if it's a live wire or not, but the wire is all the way down on the sidewalk. So if you're over in that area around the State Street Bridge heading toward Tremont, please be careful that line is down. But like I said, lots of work to do. Councilwoman Riley mentioned if a tree's on your property, then hopefully you have insurance or whatnot. But let's let the city get to all the parks and the streets and get everybody back safely, and then we'll hopefully be able to work together on some of the other issues from the storm yesterday. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn our meeting tonight. Okay, thank you.
Second.